So I did the door-to-door sales after I missioned from like age 22 to like 26. So what is that, like 4 years? So I did that for a while. But after getting married, I was like, man, I can't be knocking doors. I gotta buy a house. I gotta stay, gotta build a life with my wife and have a family. So I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was talking to this one insurance guy who owned his own agency, and I was like, how much do you make a year? I'm just curious, like at your position, because I'm eventually gonna want to level up and be what you're doing. Like that's the goal. And he's like, yeah, it's like 150,000, 100,000, like after 6, 7, 8 years. And I was making that money at that time at door to door. I was like, man, I gotta wait another 6, 7, 8 years to get to that point. I coach and I help people. I have what I call an apprenticeship, because I actually work with people hands on. It's not like I just give you information and you go apply it. Now we're in the age of wisdom, the age of knowledge, like holding yourself accountable, knowing exactly what to do. That is what is very difficult, right? Is being a business owner that's why it's so difficult. Like,
Hey guys, welcome back to the BAG Academy podcast. I'm super excited to have you here as always. Today I have a very interesting guest, someone who has quite a bit of experience in many areas of entrepreneurship. When it comes down to either sales, marketing, running a business, as well as real estate. So I would like to introduce you to Nathan Payne, who he grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and at 19 years old, went on a short mission trip for 2 years to Portland, Oregon. He worked in door-to-door sales and became one of the top salesmen in the company. His senior year of college, he followed one of his dreams and opened a music venue and cereal bar in town called Skizzes. After door-to-door sales, he decided to go into real estate, and it's been 5 years since he co-founded his real estate investing company, Offers and Homes, and Investor Thrive, a coaching company dedicated to help real estate investors and wholesalers acquire more real estate the painless way. Welcome to the show.
wow, thank you. Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's going to be quite a conversation, I would say.
Yeah.
Because with everything that you're able to accomplish, I do have quite a bit of questions, and in a good way.
Yeah, let's dive right in.
I'm really
Let's do it.
curious to know why cereal? Why cereal bar?
Why is cereal bar? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Oh man, since I grew up, I've just loved cereal. And not only have I just loved eating cereal, but I just feel like when you sit down with some friends and you all get a bowl of cereal and you're just eating together, there's unity, there's friendship. You can have good conversations. I even used to call it cereal talk, where we would just sit down, eat cereal with friends, and just chat. So I was like, man, wouldn't that be awesome to get a business, a place where you could go and eat cereal with people maybe you don't even know, and just vibe and, love and feel and like have a good time and make friends. So I wanted to create an environment where people could go eat cereal and hang out. So that's why we added in music, added in milkshakes, just a bunch of different stuff like board games. It was just like a venue, a place where people could go out and chill. So that's what I did. That's why I did it.
Okay, interesting. So, are you still running it, or you sold it, you closed it?
Yeah. So I sold it after I graduated from college. I started my senior year, and then senior year of college, I graduated, moved out of Rexburg, Idaho, where I was going to college, and I moved to Utah, so it no longer was there. And it wasn't like a cash cow or anything. I think I even maybe broke even or lost money, but I just was having fun. So it wasn't something that was gonna, make me millions of dollars, unfortunately.
Got it. Well, yeah, it's like in the real estate industry or in the food industry, it's very tough to get into, to first of all break even, or even be profitable, because we used to work with restaurants. I used to want to start a restaurant, and then I went through the numbers, I did the math, and realized it's gonna take a lot of work, and it's not even guaranteed. I mean, it's in the world of entrepreneurship, there is no guarantee that it's gonna work.
No.
You can plan as much as you want to, but if you look at the restaurant industry, it's one of the toughest ones.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, cool. So could you share with me a little bit about the door-to-door sales? How did you get into that?
Yeah, so I went on a mission for my church at 19 years old to 21 years old. For 2 years, I knocked on people's doors and talked to them about Jesus, Jesus Christ. I went and, for 2 years, that's what I did as a young lad. And after that, after graduating, sorry, not after graduating, after my mission, I guess you would say after graduating, after my mission,
Hmm.
I went to college. And there's a lot of companies in that area of where I go to school that recruit people to go knock door to door because majority of the men that have served missions for their church have that door to door experience, the experience of getting rejected and going to talk to people and just keep working hard. So that's what they do. You can make a lot of money doing that. So I was like, well, let me get into that. So it might be a foreign concept to a lot of people, but really it's just that's what a lot of the guys do after their missions. They go sell door to door. So that's how I got into it.
That is interesting. I didn't know that part.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
So then after the door-to-door sales, what is it? Why did you decide to jump into real estate then?
So I did the door-to-door sales after I missioned from like age 22 to like 26. So what is that, like 4 years? So I did that for a while. And as a bachelor, I wasn't married. That's what I mean. Like I didn't have a wife
Hmm.
yet. So it's a pretty transient lifestyle. Like you're always moving because, you go to different areas that knock door to door. You don't ever like really stay in one place.
Hmm.
But after getting married, I was like, man, I can't be knocking doors. I gotta buy a house. I gotta stay, gotta build a life with my wife and have a family. So that's why I decided to stop doing door to door, because I wanted to go do something where I could actually stay somewhere. And so that's the main reason. I was like, well, and I actually started doing job interviews. Like after when I decided it was time to like get another job, I interviewed for a health insurance agent, like to be sell health insurance. I interviewed for like car insurance, like selling what is it, like car insurance, like
Hmm.
like AmFam or Aflac. I can't remember the place I went, but
Hmm.
basically I was going around looking for jobs. And the interview process, I didn't really like the interview process because I would sit and they'd be like, tell me why I should hire you. And I'd be like, well, you should hire me because I'm good. That's all I had to say. Like, I didn't really know, like, what do you want me to convince you to hire me? Like, you either want to work with me or not. That's kind of my mindset after being an entrepreneur for like 8 years, right? From like, having skizzies, doing door to door. I was like, I'm a good salesman. Like, do you want me to work with you or not? And that's just a different mentality, right? Like, I had the entrepreneurial mentality of like, hey, I can produce, like, let me prove it. There's no reason to talk about it. But they didn't like that, right? They were like, I'm sure they were like, what? And I would ask questions that they probably didn't like. I was like, how much do you make here? Like, and I was getting interviewed by like an insurance guy,
Which
like that
which
owned
are
his.
very normal questions to ask.
Right. But
Yeah.
like I even asked, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was talking to this one insurance guy who owned his own agency. And I was like, how much do you make a year? I'm just curious, like, at your position, because I'm eventually going to want to level up and be what you're doing. Like, that's the goal. And he's like, yeah, it's like 150,000, 100,000, like after 6, 7, 8 years. And I was making that money at that time at door to door. I was like, man, I got to wait another 6, 7, 8 years to get to that point. So I realized, like, okay, this is not what I'm thinking. Like, not saying that people that sell insurance that they can make way more, but like that was just one experience from what guy I was talking to, and I was like, I think there's a different route I would like to go. So I called up my buddy who was doing real estate in college, who was one of my roommates, and I was like, hey, dude, let's start a real estate company. Let's just go for it. And he's like, okay. So we just started doing our own thing, and it started from
Okay.
there.
Okay. Wow. That that is very interesting. Which also makes a lot of sense because you do have the experience uh, from different industries, pretty much,
Yeah.
and especially being a sales professional, you kind of know. You can pretty much go into the room and understand what they're trying to pitch you
Mm-hmm.
in a way, because a lot of those, because I mentioned the companies, well, some of the insurance companies, because we do work with insurance companies and agents, and a lot of them they are part. So some companies they run a network marketing type of a company
Mm-hmm.
where you can recruit people and then you can also sell insurance. And a lot of people focus on the recruitment part.
Mm.
And that mindset, they have a completely different mindset. I know that because I used to be in the network marketing company 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about and
Yeah.
where you were coming from.
Yeah, and what
It's,
I've learned over time, through my mission, I wrestle, like not, I don't know, like not Greco-Roman, but like folk style, freestyle. So I grew up
okay.
wrestling in high school and a little bit in college, and then on my mission, and then door to door. What I've kind of learned in life is like you can really do whatever you want, but this is like the pathway is going to suck, right? Like you can, no matter what I've done in my life, like wrestling, I've been terrible at it when I first started. And how do you get better? You practice. Mission,
Yeah.
same thing. Like I was terrible talking to people. I learned Spanish on my mission. I am Hispanic, but I didn't speak Spanish on my mission. I learned it. So I learned how to be fluent in Spanish. I was
Wow.
terrible at it when I first started, got fluent. Still, obviously, still speak Spanish. So everything I've done in life, I've been bad at, like when I first started. So it's, to me, it's like, oh, I want to go do something. Obviously, it's going to be tough and I'm not going to be good at it. But that's just how life is. So
Yep.
when I got into real estate, I just knew I'm not going to be good at talking to sellers or getting properties or knowing how to flip. I have to go through the furnace or the trial, the fire of affliction, whatever you want to call it. You have to go through that in order to master anything. So I've always been cool with pain, right? My last name is Payne, but I'm cool with it. You know, you got to go through the pain. You got to deal with it.
Yeah. I do like how you link it up to your last name.
Yeah.
Because I did similar thing with my marketing agency. I called it Thor Marketing.
There you go.
So I used a bit of marketing from Marvel. But
I like it.
yeah, that's awesome. So let's say if we talk about the Investor Thrive, uh,
Mhm.
there are so many different uh, ways on how people can start in the real estate. They can become an agent. They can sell contracts. There are lots of different ways.
Of course.
Uh, let's say if somebody wants to start investing into real estate to become an investor, basically, maybe do their first flip or
Mhm.
do it long term, what would you suggest? What would be
So
the game plan?
that's a good question. So obviously, most people know about real estate agents. If you want to be a real estate agent, you have to get a license, right? So you have to go through some courses. You got to like take school. I did not want to like go show properties to people, and that was not like what I wanted to do. Is like help families like find properties. I wanted to find discounted properties and either flip them, sell them, kind of wheel and deal. That was kind of what I desired. So I went into the investing side, which is wholesale. Most people start with wholesaling. Why do they start with wholesaling? Is because you don't have to have any money to get started. When I first started my business, I had no money. I started with $0. So that's why in wholesaling, you don't need money because you're not buying the property. You're just getting a house under contract and assigning your contract to another investor for money, like for an assignment fee. So if someone has a property wants to sell me a house for 200,000 and I know someone will pay 250 for it, I can get it under contract from that seller and say, hey, I'll buy your house for 200,000, assign that with a piece of paper to someone for 250 without owning it, and then I get paid $50,000 at closing. So I went that route, and it's the concept is easy. It sounds easy, right? It's easy to understand, but it's obviously a business. Like you can make it a business, and it's a lot of work, like anything else. You have to be able to find the buyer, like the sellers. You have to find the buyers that are willing to buy it. So it's a lot of work. But I decided to go in that route. And that's what I recommend for people that don't want to be a real estate agent. You want to be a real estate agent? I'm not your guy. Go ahead, go take the class, go to the school and, show people houses. But if you want to learn how to get into fix and flip, if you want to learn how to find discounted properties, that's what I teach people to do. And I teach them the side of the business, like how to make it a business, because a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't understand, like, you're the boss now. No one's going to make you do anything. So you have to
Yeah.
learn the skill sets to be hold yourself accountable, KPIs to actually grow and hold yourself accountable to, metrics. So anyway, I would start with, if you want to get into real estate, I would start with wholesaling, because that's basically you're looking for discounted properties. And then after that, you get to decide what you want. You can keep it long term, you do short term, you can do fix and flip, you can burr, you can wholesale. The options are endless. What is the hard work, and what I would say is takes the time, is finding the properties, finding the deals.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's good to know, and that's very interesting. And the part that I mentioned, that the person at this point, the person becomes a business owner, and they do need to set KPIs, and then there is no boss, and that's usually the hardest part for people.
Oh yeah,
Maybe even emotionally in a way, because it's easier when you have a manager, you have someone above you who tells you, okay, this are the things that we need from you. There are still KPIs within companies, or even within, let's say, sales organizations. But when you do it on your own, it is way harder. And having a community of people who can support you, that's a no-brainer. That makes it makes things a whole lot easier.
yeah. Like I coach and I help people. I have what I call an apprenticeship, because I actually work with people hands on. It's not like I just give you information and you go apply it. I have an apprenticeship.
I love it.
Yeah, because that's honestly like information. We're in the age, there was the industrial age, right, and machinery and like building. Now we're in the age of wisdom, the age of knowledge. Like the way to get information, like anybody can find out how to wholesale. Just go watch it, go type it into ChatGPT, type it into YouTube. Like you can find out exactly what to do. Why do people work with me? Is because the implementation of taking the action, holding yourself accountable, knowing exactly what to do, that is what is very difficult, right? Is being a business owner, that's why it's so difficult. Like the knowledge is there, the information is there. Go read any book. But just because you read a book on how to ride a bike doesn't mean you know how to ride a bike, right? You still got to go do it, and you got to fall, and it sucks. So that's where my job and Investor Thrive, also painless flipping, like it's the same thing, right? It's just a different name. That's what I do. So I do real estate deals, and I teach people how to get into it.
Okay. So if somebody wants to start with you, let's say working with you, to pretty much hire you as a coach or as a mentor, what's usually the process with that?
It's very simple. Just go to painlessflipping.com, Payne, like my last name, not Pain, Payne, painlessflipping.com. And then there you just book a call, and then we basically interview you to see if we'd be a good fit to work together. Not only a good fit to work with me, but if I would even be a good fit to work with you. Maybe you don't like me, right? Like maybe you don't want to learn from me. So it's just a call to see if we're on the, we vibe, if we're on the same page. And I'm very hands-on with the people I work with, so we can't take on everybody. So it's just a simple book a call and let's chat. And if people like want to learn more, but they don't really want to commit to a phone call and chatting, I have a free Facebook group that teaches people how to do what I do, like how to find a property, wholesale, fix and flip. It's called Painless Flipping Free Facebook group. And right there, like if you don't want to talk, you can just get all the information, a bunch of resources for free in the group. Just, join. So those are the two ways that people usually start with us. It's in the Facebook group, and then they later join, or they just stay in there and they enjoy, getting the free stuff, or they book a call at painlessflipping.com.
Okay, got it. Well, that's good to know. We'll definitely add that in the show notes, all the links.
Thanks.
So you didn't mention, let's say if we talk about the wholesaling, and somebody that decided to start, and I'll take myself as an example. Let's say I decide to start. How much time does it take for me to, not knowing anything, or maybe knowing a little bit about real estate, from, let's say, learning from YouTube, ChatGPT, Google, how much time would it take for a new person to get their first deal on average?
I would say on average it's 90 days of taking action. Some people it takes longer because of the action part, right? Like they'll dabble, they'll do a little bit, but they won't fully commit. But if you're fully committed 90 days, for me, I actually put this to the test. Well, I have experience, right? But I put it to the test. I went to a brand new market with no buyers, no money, and just went to a brand new market to show people how to do it. And I got a deal within like 20 days. And my other business partner did it the same, and he got a deal within 30 days. So
Hmm.
if you're experienced and have no money and do what we do, it takes maybe about 20 to 30 days. But if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, probably like 90. Sometimes it takes people a lot longer, but I would say if you're doing the right activities daily, 8 hours a day, like it's a full job, 90
Hmm.
days.
Okay, got it. So it's pretty much 160 hours a week, a month. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
it's a full on. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
it's a full-time thing. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people, if they think they can just like maybe call a seller, call 5 or 10 people in a month and get $20,000, like nah, not even close.
Well, yeah. And then that's why I wanted to ask, like, how much time it takes on average, because a lot of times people that most of the times they would have the main thing, and
Mm-hmm.
then they want to become investors in real estate. So, and that's how some of them start. That's why they get a real estate license to become
Yeah, I
an
would
agent,
say if you're gonna
and
do
they
it
do it
part
part time.
time, yeah. So if you do it part time, I would say you would do about 3 to 4 deals a year doing it part time. 3 to 4 deals a year, and
Hmm.
so you're looking at bringing in maybe $60,000 to $100,000 of extra income on the side if you're consistent. Now, consistency is the key, right? Because if you're not consistent, it's not able you're not able to flow and keep the follow up and talk to the leads. Like it's very difficult unless you're consistent.
Yeah. Okay. And do you guys use some kind of automation tools to do the outreach, or
I,
it's
for someone new, I do not suggest that they get all this software, which can kind of be confusing. I just say, hey, use a Google spreadsheet, a Google Doc, and Google spreadsheet, and just keep track of your leads there until you're ready to like scale up and take more leads. All that software stuff, it's good if like you're bringing in volume, but it's not necessary in my opinion. Like if you have like limited leads, right? You might as well just call them on your phone and set a reminder for yourself.
which kind of makes sense. So you wouldn't advise them to have a like a bare minimum a CRM, like even a free one.
Um, I don't really know of too many like good free CRMs that I would suggest. Most of the ones that I know about that I would suggest are like $97 a month to like 150. Now, if you have like 10 or 20 like actual leads that you've filtered through that say yes, I want to sell, I would say just it would make more sense for me just on 10 to 15 people just to keep them on a spreadsheet and set a reminder on your phone to follow up versus paying like $97 for like a text message to be sent out automatically to do your follow up. I would just do it because it's going to keep it more on top of mind if you do your follow up
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I'm making it more personalized in a way as
Yeah,
well with all
exactly.
the automation stuff. Okay, interesting. So then, when the person buys again, let's say if it's someone new who wants to get into wholesaling, when they get a couple of potential leads that want to sell the house, do they sell it with a real estate agent or that's without the agent,
That's a
and
great
you pretty
question.
much get the commission?
Yeah, so this is how it would work. Let's say you join my program, for example, and you start calling a list of sellers who potentially are motivated to sell at a discount, right? And you would say, "Hey, Nate, I just got a hold of someone that's in pre-foreclosure. They're saying they're open to selling, but I'm not sure what to do." Right? Because that's probably what would happen. You'd be like, "Hey, I got
Mm-hmm.
somebody, but I don't. What do I do next?" So that's why I have an apprenticeship. Like because I would say, okay, let me walk you through what you need to do, and let me actually hop on the call with the seller, and like you can shadow me, and let's take it to the next step, and you can see it. Like I actually do that versus just telling you everything to do by yourself all the time because it's a better way to learn if like you get to see it happen. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, okay, hey, I got someone. I would call the seller and I would say, hey, I take them through the sales process. Be like, hey, so you're potentially open to selling your property. You're in pre-foreclosure. What options have you explored to sell your house at this point in time? I talk to the seller and I say, hey, what are you looking to do? They're like, well, I can't keep it. I don't have the money, and I need to sell it. And I'd say, okay, have you thought about listing your house on the market? Right. Most of the time, the people we're talking to do not want to list their house because the house is in bad condition and they can't list it. They don't have the time to list it because listing can take like 2 or 3 months before someone buys it, and the cash buyer will
Mm-hmm.
buy it like immediately. So I would narrow down what the seller wants to do with the sales process, and then I would say, okay, um, you know, we would be able to buy this house between $200,000 and $220,000 if the house is worth like let's just say that's where I need to be, $220,000 in that range. And that's something like, as a new investor yourself, you might not know how to run the numbers. That's why, together I would explain why we need to be there. So we need to be here. If the seller accepts, we get it under contract, and then we decide, are we going to flip it? Are we going to wholesale it? Are we going to wholesale it? Are we going to burr it long term? Most of the time we wholesale it or flip it because you want to get paid, right? And if it's a long term, no one's really getting paid in the long term, like as much as if we just flipped it or got rid of it. So that's the process of how it would work. Is like, there's a lot to learn in this thing to just do it all yourself. Now you could, but I'm there for you to help you through it versus feeling overwhelmed.
It's gonna take way more time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I agree with you 100%. Like, people should definitely take on their services. Like whenever the person wants to learn something new, like even in our case, we hire coaches. We run a coaching a consulting company where we help with marketing and systems automations, client acquisition, stuff like that. And as you mentioned, courses are fine, but 84% of people we were going through the numbers. We wanted to start with courses and then sell courses, but we checked the stats. Like 84% of people that buy a course, they never finish it. And I'm guilty of that as well. Like I've bought courses before, and I didn't finish it. And that's why we decided to do more of a consultancy, the way you guys are doing it.
Yeah, because the thing is, information, like I talked about earlier, it's everywhere. So people aren't really seeking information; they're wanting help with the implementation, which is the hardest part, right? And for you're consulting and helping them implement it versus just telling them, because people get overwhelmed too. Like if you came in and I gave you every step on how to wholesale a deal from A to Z, you would get lost. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything like all about this. Like, this is going to be hard to implement the whole thing. So we try to break it up into bite-sized chunks because that's the best way to learn too, is like, you can't take it all on, right? If you taught me everything you know about marketing, it would take forever, right? Because so much that I haven't experienced, and I have to experience it in order to really understand, versus you just talk to me and it's going to go in one ear out the other because I'm not ready.
Yeah, 100%. Can't agree more with you on that, because that's how we operate as human beings in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. So then, if somebody wants to start working with you, like, you said the process is about 90 days. So do they work with you 90 days, or it takes them to get the first deal for 90 days?
So when I say 90 days, I'm saying, like, if someone were, in order to come in here and join the apprenticeship and work every day, then yes, that's like, I would say average to get a deal. Unfortunately, not everybody does that, right? Like, not everybody comes in and immediately just starts working. There's always something. There's like limiting beliefs involved. People struggle. They struggle to want to take action. They get nervous. So a lot of the time it's just helping people get back on the horse, or if they fall off, or just helping people along the journey. So working with me, it really just depends on the person, but it's like every individual faces something different. But I don't know if that answers your question. I guess I'm just trying to say that it
definitely
depends.
does. Yeah, it definitely does. So you did mention something which was limiting beliefs, and I do like to talk about that because we all have them, or we had them at some level, and I'm sure we still have them, and like, you always work through them because as people say, new level, new devil.
That's right.
And with all the because like at each and every level, you have certain things that you kind of need to go through, and it's all in your head. So if we talk about limiting beliefs, what are the main limiting beliefs do you see that people have when they start wholesaling, or they start investing? Basically, they want to start investing in real estate.
I would say the main limiting beliefs are like believing that they're not really investors, right? They have never done it. So when they're talking to a seller, maybe they feel like they're an imposter, right? They're not like legit. Which is how I felt when I first started. I was talking to, I'm going to buy your house. It's like, bro, I've never bought a house before in my life. Like well, I had in that point, I had my own house, but like I wasn't some big investor, right? And I would say I'm
Mm-hmm.
still not like some giant investor, right? I do deals, but nothing like crazy, right? But I think that's a limiting belief people have is they feel like they're not being, genuine when they're first starting, right? And I think that's the point is to acknowledge that. And when you're talking to sellers or whoever, be honest and be like, don't try to be something you're not. Just say, hey, I'm new to this investing game. I'm looking to get a couple of my first properties. I'd like to talk to you about your property. Don't say don't try to act like you're some big guy that owns tons of rentals and you're super experienced investor. Like you don't need to be that, right? So
Like what? Like
I
your
think,
Grant Cardone?
yeah, that's stupid, right? Like, and a lot of the time people don't even want to talk to that kind of person, right? They want to talk to someone that's on their level or they feel like maybe a little closer with. So I think a lot of the limiting beliefs come from like trying to be something you're not. And when you should just like be honest with yourself and say, hey, I don't need to be some great. Stop comparing yourself to like what you want to be. Just be who you are and just be real with people. I would say that would be it because like I know if I ever feel inadequate, it's usually because I'm trying to be around people or be something I'm not yet to people who I think care, but nobody really cares. So I don't know if that helps, but I would just
No, it,
say
it
that.
totally makes sense because these days people want to have that authenticity and
Mm-hmm.
trust at the same time because
Of course.
the trust is at an all-time low. Like I can tell you as a marketer, like we pretty much see it in the ads
Oh,
and let's say
oh
the
yeah.
cost per lead. Like yeah, we're gonna go down that route. It takes more time for companies, for people to build trust. For companies, yeah, basically build trust with people, even
Mhm.
within the marketing part. Like Google did the
So
study,
true.
they called it 7-11-4, where they wanted to see how much time does it take a person to become a client. So these days, and it's both offline and online. It takes a person to consume 7 hours of content, have 11 touch points across 4 different channels.
That's crazy, man.
Meaning it could be, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then they get to your website, they fill out a form, now they start getting emails.
Yep.
So multiple touches from different channels. Yeah, so at that point, like they kind of see that you're a real deal, and
Yeah.
it's not just like a one night, uh, like an instant expert
Yeah.
in a
I'm
way.
the same way. Like if you, for example, like for you, if you wanted to run my marketing, I would have to see some proof and not even proof, but just like see more touch points than just like one. Like if we just talked one time and like maybe we have a really good conversation and I just trust you and I like you and let's just do it. But most people don't want to have that conversation. They want to kind of do their research first and
Mm-hmm.
see. So I would agree with you. That's so
Yeah,
true.
yeah, that's the world we live in today.
Yeah, that's very
Got
true.
it. Got it. So you mentioned that you have the group on Facebook.
Mhm.
Could you remind me of the name once again?
It's called the Painless Flipping Free Facebook Group. Painless
Okay,
Flipping Free Facebook Group. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely add the link to the keynotes as well.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience?
Um, I would just want to. I've been thinking a lot recently about taking action. Action is like everything, because there's a quote that I like. It says, "Ideas are easy, execution is everything." Right. So, or having thoughts is easy, but actually doing something about it is difficult. Right. It's the same thing. I'm just trying to explain it.
Yeah.
If you want to do anything, just first it starts with thought, right? Because from our thoughts, our actions spring from our thoughts, right? So if you want to do something, you have to think positive, you have to believe you can do it, and then just do it. Like you're gonna suck at it when you first start. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be like let's just say Grant Cardone, if you think he's cool or whatever. Like he's gonna suck at marketing if he's never marketed before, or he's gonna suck at swimming if he's not a good swimmer, right? But he can become a great swimmer or a great marketer. It's just the same thing. So if anyone's watching this and listening and they're like, oh man, this guy knows a lot. Well, I didn't know anything when I first started. I had zero knowledge of real estate. It's probably the same with you. Like you probably didn't know much about marketing, but you've learned.
Nope.
So my thought is if you want to master something, just go do it. Like I live right now in the country in Canada. I've just moved out here. I don't know anything about farming, but I want to learn. I want to learn how to grow my own stuff.
Wait,
I
wait.
want to.
You live in the country in Canada?
That's right. Yeah. Are you in
Oh,
Canada?
yeah. I'm in Ottawa. Where are you
You're
based?
not. So I live in. I just moved to Ontario, north of Toronto.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay,
been out
cool.
here?
Well, so we're neighbors then.
There you go, man. Yeah, I just moved here. My
It-
wife is Canadian. She grew up in
okay.
this area in it's called the Kawartha Lakes area. I don't know if you've heard of that, or Durham, the
Mm,
Durham region.
Yeah, Durham.
Um,
Yes, I know that
yeah.
area. Yeah,
So we're in Durham, and so
nice.
we were living in the States, and I've always wanted to live out in the country. I've wanted to kind of have a farm, and so we sold in our home. We sold everything in Utah and just moved out here, and been here for like 2 months. And I'm telling you, like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know anything about the country or farming or septic tanks or any of this well stuff, but I'm learning, and I'm gonna be a farmer one day, bro. I'll be growing some wheat
Interesting.
and some crops and
Yeah,
not wheat.
yeah. I know.
I know a lot of
You're
people when I say it quick, they're like, "What? That sounds like weed." And I'm like, I need to speak. I need to
Hey,
speak clear.
honestly, it's legal in Canada now. So
Yeah, I'm sure you can make a lot of money doing that. But so, corn. I'm trying to grow whatever. Anyway, I'm just saying.
yeah,
That's my last message for everybody: is hey, go do whatever you want. You can get good at it. It just takes time.
yeah. Practice makes perfect, and I agree. It all comes down to the mindset. Because even when we started working with our clients, the first module that they go through is the mindset in marketing sales.
That's
Because we
it.
realize it doesn't matter how many great strategies, tactics, offers, tricks, apps we're gonna show them or tell them about.
Yeah,
None of them will matter if they don't understand numbers and they don't have that right mindset.
exactly. I'm the same way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Sweet. Well, so we're not that far away from each other. So maybe we could meet up one day.
We can hang out, man.
Yeah, would be cool.
That's it.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate you coming to the show. As I always like to say, time is the most valuable asset, and I do appreciate you sharing it with me. I personally learned a lot. I'm sure our listeners learned a lot as well, and definitely looking forward to staying connected and maybe even do another episode in the future.
100%. I'm always down. I love it.